Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode here on the Sticks and Bones podcast. Hi, Dr. K. How are you?
I am good. I am excited about this one, even though I always say that. But we're talking about two queens today, and the tea is piping.
The tea is piping, and I'm laughing because I noticed like every intro for our video, we're both like, we're talking about something so exciting today. And it's like every episode is so exciting, but you don't understand. If we're not passionate about it as two queens ourselves, we are not going to talk about it. Like if we're not feeling, we've changed. This episode wasn't even supposed to be here. We've changed our schedule so many times because if we're not feeling it, like we're not going to do a podcast on it. Like we always want to relate and like feel something when we're doing this chase to feel something when we're doing a podcast.
Honestly, and I mean this week, even in the temple, we've been listening to Game of Thrones soundtrack. Like this episode has been in the making.
It has been, and it came at like the most perfect time. I feel like the podcast episodes always kind of align with like little things going on or just the way that we're feeling. So today we are answering the age-old question of do Aphrodite and Persephone hate each other and can they actually be worshipped together?
Well,
And man, I don't even want to give you the answer because you're gonna have to stay tuned because we're gonna dive into it. We're gonna look at this through the myth of Adonis. We're also going to look at an epithet which is called Despoina. We're going to look at some of their worship in the ancient world, to maybe back this claim or dispute this claim. I'm not going to give you the answer, and we're going to talk about it as two queens ourselves. We've been here. We get it. Two confident women on a podcast. So before we do that, y'all know we have to talk about our extra members content for this month because we are doing an entire month on Aphrodite, which I'm so excited about. Hi, Pluto. He's graced us with his presence, his lord, his lordship.
he
But
says news
Dr.
from
K,
the front.
news from the front lines. Dr. K, what do we have going on for our extra members content on Patreon? Last month, if you guys don't know, we did Hecate. It was just Hecate Central. We talked about her statues. We talked about the lies you've been told about her, why she's not the mother of witches. And what was the third episode? Oh, we did a review on a source on ancient Greek religion and talked about the problems or like the hardships with finding sources on ancient Greek religion. So if you want to join us over there, we were talking about all the tea, all the fun things. But what do we have for June? Because it's big Aphrodite
News from the front
for the
lines
girls.
for the mystery cult.
Yes.
We have, it's all Aphrodite. It's summer. We got to talk about the goddess of love, lust, and sexuality. So we are doing the truth about Aphrodite. Who is she really? Because she's really just been boiled down to glamour magic. And we got to stop saying wrong things here. So we're doing that. And then, of course, we're diving into images you've been lied to about Aphrodite because
Are Aphrodite and Venus the same? Why do we keep switching their iconography around? We have a bone to pick with the community of people that say these things.
I have questions because
Questions.
I understand the love of Renaissance and Baroque
Oh,
artwork,
yeah.
right? We all understand the great masters of their time, but we gotta stop using it in wrong context, especially if that's not who it is.
So, what's funny? I used to have the Birth of Venus in my bedroom, and because I kept seeing it was bothering me that people were using it in the wrong context, I took it off my wall. Because when you just see something
I
and
get
now
it.
you get sick of it, because I feel
Yeah.
like we've bastardized the Birth of Venus. And somehow we've managed to bastardize this beautiful piece of art. I'm getting so passionate about it because like I have a Botticelli deck with the Birth of Venus, a tarot deck. I
Yeah.
can't use it anymore because I'm like, I need some time. I need some time to forgive and heal.
Honestly,
I need
like,
help.
oh, it's so heartbreaking. Or like we'll see like, Bernini's work getting bastardized, and it's just like, oh, come on, like not to art history, guys.
We're going to show you the right iconography of Aphrodite. Some people have statues that are Victorian era statues. They're not even actually the goddess Aphrodite. And so it's easy to get tripped up online. We've been talking about this with Hecate, like what are stores selling you? Why can't people give you the right art? When you're buying from someone, they should be able to tell you with full send confidence what kind of art this is, the name of it, where is it from, and is it actually Aphrodite? And a lot of you had said, I went to a metaphysical store and they couldn't even tell me this was Hecate and I knew it wasn't her. It's like,
If they
then why are you
can't
selling it?
if they can't launch into an academic blackout on who, what, when, where, and why have? I can tell you everything about this Pompeii mosaic piece right here. I could tell you about this Corinthian pillar.
right?
What else you want to know? They can't do that. Run. But last but not least, we are going to be going over an ancient festival, of course, to the goddess Aphrodite and one of her lovers.
I'm so excited. We're talking
Hmm.
about the Adonia for those of you that don't know, but it'll be really exciting. So it is the month of Aphrodite. And of course, here with the frontline news from the temple, for those of you that love our products, we are restocking everything Aphrodite in the store. It is the Aphrodite month, and we're kicking off with her next week. So if you're interested in following along, you can find us on Sticks and Bones Temple on Instagram or on TikTok, where we are constantly giving restock updates. We have plot twist. Aphrodite statues from Greece coming to the temple. Now, listen here. You're going to want to follow us on Instagram because I am going to be posting a countdown for release date. We only buy them in certain quantities because, they're not always easy to get.
Or not.
Our vendor hand makes them. They are from Greece. The people of Greece make them, and they are gorgeous. Like me and Dr. K both have a statue of Aphrodite, and it's like our favorite.
If we get one of the newer ones that we were discussing, you put me down for one.
I know. We haven't decided which ones we're gonna get yet because there's like three contenders and they're all correct of Aphrodite. So last time we had a drop, people were like freaking out, sold us out in like 2 days, commenting, "I'm obsessed with my Aphrodite statue." It's
I love it. I
and it
love her.
feels so much cooler when it's from Greece because you're like, yeah, like this slaps. Mine's on my beauty vanity and I just stare at her every day. She has her tushy out, like it's my favorite.
Yeah, mine's downstairs on my vanity in my bedroom.
Her iconography is so beautiful. So many exciting things coming. Also in the temple, we have been doing, if you're not really a podcast girly or you want, we have blog posts that we've been posting lately. So you can sign up for our email list. We've been doing a lot of email, sending out email marketing in terms of blog posts. So some of you are like, where can I find more? Well,
How do I hear about the good news?
how do I hear from the front lines? So you can check that all out in the bio. We are providing free resources anytime we can, and there will be a blog post dropping on Aphrodite. And were we doing Aphrodite and Persephone?
Possibly.
We
It
talked about
depends.
it this morning. Okay, well, by this time this podcast launches, we will have known. So it's a surprise, but go check that out.
I'm excited
And
for future us.
we are the girls are working hard. We want to thank you guys and especially our Sticks and Bones Mystery Cult members, extra members for your support. It means the world to us. We do give a lot of free content away, so the extra support that we do get on Patreon and YouTube goes to the support of us producing more content for you. So we just want to say an extra thank you. We love you guys. We appreciate you, and we can't wait for what's coming this month. But anyway, you didn't come here for this. You came for the age-old question of do Aphrodite and Persephone hate each other? Don't give him the answer, Ted. Don't give him the answer. Don't give him the answer, Dr. K. Don't.
Strike that from the record.
No eye rolls and sighs. We are going into this as
I can only look straight ahead.
keep your eyes straight.
Catch me not blinking.
Um, right. This has become some propaganda online, and I'm not going to tell you if it's right or wrong. All right. We have to look, we have to go to the source. Now, where people get this idea from is coming from the myth of Aphrodite, Persephone, and Adonis. So we're going to spark note the myth for you today.
Tale as old as time. Someone gets killed.
Yeah, I mean, and who kills said person? Many different.
Way up to interpretation.
Right. And as we know with Greek mythology, there are sometimes, are you planning on discussing Ovid's Metamorphosis? I didn't pull that one today. I'm only doing the first source that we talked about, but I know Ovid's Metamorphosis also talks about Adonis.
I have that one pulled only for the death.
Only for the death, right? Because you want to talk about how there's different endings to this.
Kind of, yes.
Okay, so where we are finding this is Apollodorus, which we had a hard time finding this myth today. I thought this myth was a little bit more prevalent, quite like Athena and Poseidon. I thought it was somewhere along the
Bigger.
way that'd be bigger, not Apollodorus. And so, where do we want to
A
start with
wild
this?
story.
Where do you want to start with this?
Um, I mean, kind of the Spark Note version is really Adonis is technically a Cypriot prince, which is really, really cool because, of course, Aphrodite, Queen of Cyprus, we love that. But the backstory of his family is his mom
Incest.
his mom spurned Aphrodite and she wouldn't worship her. So Aphrodite said, but, and she made her actually sleep with her own father and thus produced Adonis via incest. Okay.
The most
So,
beautiful man in the world, though.
yes. And then so she gets, pursued because the dad ends up finding out that he's been sleeping with his daughter who fell pregnant and everything. Long story long, she turns into the Mer Tree, and then after, the gestation period, Adonis is born. Aphrodite rescues him and picks him up and says basically, "Hey, I got to get him out of here. Like his father is going to come after him. This isn't going to end well. I need help." So what does she do? She turns to her gal pal, Queen Persephone, who at this point is in the
Or
underworld.
is she her gal pal? The world may never know. Stay tuned.
She turns to her gal pal Persephone, who at this point is in the underworld, puts Adonis in a chest and pushes him to her. She receives the child, takes him out, and once she sees, of course, the most beautiful man in the world, she doesn't want to let him go. So there's a lot of fighting going on. I want him. No, give him back. No, he's mine. Zeus has to get involved because, of course, somehow it always comes back to Zeus. And he basically says, "All right, for 1/3 of the year, Adonis gets to be on his own. 1/3 of the year, he's with Aphrodite, and 1/3 of the year, he's with Persephone. I'm done. Good day. I'm gonna go find me another mortal gal pal."
I just love, like, there is not enough Zeus appreciation where he literally dealt with this and he was like, oh my, it's his job as king of the gods to sort the god nonsense out because if he doesn't settle it, it could turn into something that they don't want it to be. Two powerful queens, right? Like, I'm not messing with either of these girls, to be honest with you. Aphrodite's terrifying and so is Persephone. So, like, have a great day. I think he might be scared, honestly. He probably came down and was like, I'm not dealing with this.
I'm
Figure
not
it
dealing
out.
with this, but you guys are bothering me, and now I can't rendezvous outside of my wife, so you're
Right.
really putting a damper in my day.
Can't
Uh,
produce more children.
So, long story keeps going on, and ultimately, the end of the tale of his life is he's on Cyprus. Somehow, a boar gets loose, and he gets gored to death, unfortunately. Pour one out for him. And he does pass away because he is mortal, and Aphrodite can't save him. So she kind of takes a playbook from Persephone and turns Adonis into the anemone flower from his drops of blood. So his mother becomes a tree and he becomes a flower. So lovers and people who you spurn are always often turned into plants in Greek mythology.
It just depends what kind, because as we know with mint
She
is
was stepped on.
really evasive too. Like it's not one you want to let loose in your garden. For all the garden girls out there, mint, even in pots, I've seen the gardeners online say the mint is taking over my garden. And I'm like, so sometimes it's evasive and you just really don't want it and doesn't want to be contained. So it depends what kind of plant you are.
It really just tries to come after your power and after your husband.
And people are burning it to cover the stench of the dead. So there's that. But as far as who killed Adonis, there's many different. One of them, I think, is Artemis, and then I know in
One of them's Apollo, one of them's Hermes, one of them's Ares. Like truly spin the mythical wheel.
yeah. So it's not very clear who actually killed Adonis. I always like to go by the Ares version because Aphrodite and Ares, and he was like, "Hey, you're spending too much time with this man. What about me? I'm gonna kill him." Um, I like to go for that more like enemies to lovers.
You're taking too long with him. Like,
I know he has a short mortal life, but like
yeah, he's the prince, and in his extra free time part of the year, it is said in other sources that he does much rather spend time with Aphrodite, so they are more considered lovers rather
I
than
mean,
Persephone and Adonis.
Persephone is with Hades in the underworld. So it's like, I'm sure it's not just Persephone and Adonis. It's Persephone, Adonis, and Hades being like, why are you looking at my wife? To come take a seat at my table for a feast. And as we know, if you've been here, that never ends well with him. So
Yeah.
she has a scary husband. Like,
No, if you're sitting down, the Reigns of Castamere start playing.
honestly, like, I don't know why people want that smoke. Like, that is just, he's terrifying. I listen, I love Hades and Persephone, but like, I do not want to try to steal his wife, have a relationship with his wife. He is the known as the unseen for a reason. Like he's just You're right, Reigns of Castamere. That's what I think of when I think of him.
But in the myth, because we've read it, I just spark noted it.
I mean, did you really you really did just read the myth. That it's not that long for those of you like, I
I
want
just
more.
didn't use ye old timey.
We were actually very surprised when we pulled the myth up, and I think I said to you, I thought there was more detail to this. It
I
just
did
is
too.
like this is the story.
Yeah, but in the myth, do you think there was animosity between the two?
No, I think they were like two siblings fighting over a beautiful mortal man. It wasn't like, they scorched the earth like Demeter, or threatened to do so as well. And it's like it wasn't like that. They were just arguing and fighting over him. And then Zeus came down, and then they had agreed to, okay, one third, one third, one third. And then they went on their merry way. It wasn't like Persephone started a war against Aphrodite because she was spending time with Adonis. So like, why are people saying this?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, especially because when Adonis is born, I found it so fascinating in the written text of she put him in a box and gave him to Persephone for safekeeping.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm doing that with Bebe and I'm giving it to Chelsea, it is because I trust her. I'm not going to give her baby if I'm going to start a war with her.
Right. I mean, and then yeah, and she probably understood that Persephone opened the box and was like, "Wow, he's so pretty, like new shiny mortal." That's how gods view mortals. Like mortals get caught. I don't know if you guys understand this with Greek mythology in the crossfire all the time. Like we talk about Diomedes and Zeus. Like that guy was just with his dad and got picked up by Zeus as an eagle and brought to Olympus as a cupbearer. And I will say it in every episode because it's like Zeus thought of him as the most beautiful man he's ever seen and said, he can't be here. He has to be with me. And they just come in and take human beings,
Say, wow, you're so pretty. Come.
cup, which we've said before, but like, and Persephone was like, wow, she was like enamored by him. And I'm sure Aphrodite was like, yeah, girl, like, you see what I'm talking about?
They're producing better ones each generation.
Do you get it?
Yeah, I mean, come on. The gods love pretty looking things. Look at freaking Helen of Troy. She started a war of 1,000 ships, and the gods were picking their teams.
Oh,
Come
yeah.
on. But I think it's such a weird concept and construct to inherently pit two women together out of the sentence that literally just said, she gave it to Persephone. She gave him the child. Done.
I think
Entrusted to Persephone.
so as a woman and who has experienced this greatly, people love to see the downfall of women and they love to pit women against each other. They love to watch women fight. It's like we were talking about this offline and we should just hit record. I was like, what's interesting? No one ever says this about Zeus and Poseidon. Poseidon has gone back at Zeus, which we've talked about in the Iliad, where he was like, and you tell him all these things. And no one said, like, oh, Zeus and Poseidon are fighting each other and like we're pitting them against each other. Two kings are able to get away with it. But when it comes to two queens in their own right, who are powerful, because we cannot deny that these are two powerful goddesses,
Yeah.
people always have something to say to misinterpret a myth or to internalize misogyny that we need to be pitting goddesses against each other because they're powerful. And it's like the same thing with Hera. Like, oh, Hera's crazy. Is she crazy or is she a queen?
Is she ensuring that her children have a right to rule?
I mean, we talked about that on our extra members content of like, did Hera have a point? Why are we not looking at Zeus and being like, why don't we blame him? Like, why is he doing that?
I mean, nobody bats an eye at Hades who let Eurydice have a chance at life if Orpheus didn't turn around. Zeus didn't come down and say, "What are you doing, my guy?"
Yeah. So it's like, we say, can you worship Aphrodite and Persephone together? Yes. Like myths are myths. Sure, they are important to the construct of our religion and our understanding, but it's not like we have to stop.
We got to stop saying wrong things first and foremost. And we even have at ancient Corinth, there is a temple. It's very much in ruins today, but there is a temple there, and there in the major temple area, there was worship and votives left to Demeter, to Persephone, and to Aphrodite. Now, why would you want that? Okay, Demeter, good harvest,
Mhm.
all of that kind of stuff. Land fertility, great. Mothers, even. Persephone. We often see the votives there, young girls, sometimes girls in chariots, that kind of stuff from her myth. Why would you want to leave a votive? Because you are getting betrothed. You hope you have a good husband. You hope you have a husband who will respect you and perhaps give you some semblance of power. Okay, you want a fair match. Why would you go to Aphrodite in the same instance? Why? Because you want to ensure that you have a successful, relationship with your husband, producing children. You want to ensure that your love, quote unquote, is going to turn into heirs, turn into
Mhm.
children in the future, and also to survive that. So we have evidence of them being worshipped together. So I have no idea where this myth came from, especially when the text literally says Aphrodite entrusted to Persephone. Like, as a woman, to be in that position where you have to give something that you care about so much to somebody else, you know that you are only giving it to them because they can do the same job that you can do.
Right.
And why would you pit them against each other? It's so strange as a woman.
It doesn't surprise me. Unfortunately, like as a woman who has experienced such things, it doesn't surprise me that people love to see women being pitted against each other. We see it all the time. We see it all the time.
Hmm.
I was telling Dr. K, like we see it with Cleopatra. People always have derogatory, weird things to say about her. And it's like, can we just not acknowledge that she was amazing and a powerful ruler? And like we, as a woman, I look up to her. I think that's incredible. You know what I mean? It's like, why do we say things about women? It's just women in power, especially, we always have to say the craziest stuff. And it's like, I know I'm speaking from personal experience, and I know a lot of you probably, well,
Hmm.
our audience is mostly women, honestly. So like I'm sure a lot of you can relate where like you've been in positions of power or, you've maybe someone's tried to pit you against one another. And it's like, for what purpose? Why can't two powerful people just sit together? Like, why does one always have to dominate the other?
100%. Especially since you brought up Cleopatra. Why is nobody talking about Caesar the same way?
Yeah.
He takes two to tango with Cleopatra. She was smart. They take away, like, and I think whether it's mythology, whether it's women in history, whichever, women always often get boiled down to certain characteristics. So for Cleopatra, well, she's just an evil seductress, and they have to put the blame onto somebody. So I don't know why you would do it for Greek mythology, but okay, well, one of them was spiteful towards the other, and they were keeping it away from the other person. Okay, that's also human nature, first of all. But why are we not also understanding that these two women are queens in their own right, one of the underworld, one of Cyprus, and they're coming together to work together
Mhm.
rather than scorch earth each other?
It beats me. I don't know why. It's just this weird thing that happens when you're just someone that is, a powerful goddess. People always boil them down to such weird, weird things. And another thing I want to talk about is speaking of like Greek goddesses being boiled down to things.
Hmm.
There is like this movement that goes on online where they're boiled down to like these dark, divine, feminine archetypes, and like Hecate is the dark goddess and like she is hexing the patriarchy. And Aphrodite is never included in these movements because I feel like for some reason people associate her as like a lovin' and she's light and because she's love, and it's like our gal pal Aphrodite. Aphrodite's always left out of these. That's why I never subscribe to the dark divine feminine thing because it's always wrong. It's not correct in how we're looking at our goddesses in our religion. Like, why is Aphrodite not in there? It's because she's not like a chthonic goddess? Like, I don't understand.
Y'all missed that Arya epithet?
Yeah, no one ever wants to talk about how she has an epithet for war. Like, love and war, the most dangerous thing. It's why, hello, look at Troy.
Hello, look at Sparta, who venerated that, who literally believed that giving birth for women was as good as dying in battle because they believed that there would be no men without the woman who birthed them. So, like, let's talk about
We have to stop with the dark divine feminine stuff too. I'm a girl that loves to like relate to goddesses in my own way. Like we teach that. Like this is why we talk about mythology, and this is why I reverse the question back to people that are listening to the podcast. I'm sure now that we've talked about it, you can relate to a time where maybe you have been misunderstood, or people have been trying to pit you against someone, or you're a powerful goddess that people are trying to say that you're X, Y, and Z, and it's like, I'm not, like, that's not how it is.
Yeah.
Where you are, your power is being misunderstood for being crazy or all these other things, right? But the dark divine feminine stuff, the reason why it's problematic is because it boils down to nothing. Like, it is nothing. It is not the correct information about the goddesses. It's not the correct iconography of the goddesses. It's not the way the ancients viewed the goddesses. And a lot of people will say to me, well, that's how the ancients view them. How can we view them? Just like this. Just like this. Like, who doesn't want to see themselves? They were created to be, so we see ourselves inside of them, right? Like, we see ourselves as Aphrodite and Persephone.
Yeah, they were written by people for explaining and understanding humanity. And that's why we get that much later lore. But of course, to continue what you were going on about with, boiling them down, well, boiling them down in their multifaceted nature takes them out of context. And for archaeology, that's never a good thing.
No.
And then when you take them out of context and start adding goobles and gobbles to them and associating things that are inaccurate, misrepresented, or just all around false, then in a sense, and I know we were chatting about this off screen, it's giving ancient aliens, you guys. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah,
I
it is.
I gotta come out and say it. Like, it's giving ancient aliens. And that is also not a good thing. So why, again, why make stuff up? Well, you can't do this. They were never worshipped together. Let's look at the archaeological evidence. They were. There is no beef of the goddesses.
No.
There
And if
never
there
was.
was, there would have been a story written about it, and it probably would have been epic.
100%.
A story of Aphrodite and Persephone going to war would have been written about, right? And there would have been some sort of reason, purpose, or lesson. So we have to, we are very much about like taking the historical and religious context and then making it make sense for modern day. Because a lot of the times people come into Greek mythology or ancient Greek religion and they're doing these retellings, which is fine. I love retellings, they're great. But when you start to take them away from everything they're associated with because you want it to fit your Hecate is the daughter of the witches we can't burn narrative, it's wrong. She's not a mother of witches. We talked about that on our extra members content. She's so much cooler than that. There are epithets that we can relate to, stories that we can relate to. And our job here is to take the history and the Greek mythology and then how can we relate it for modern day? How do we as a collective relate to these stories now? Like, how do we see ourselves as Kore, right? A young girl getting ready for marriage. How do we see ourselves as these epithets or archetypes? And one of them that I want to talk about today so that you can take, I know I don't like to provide a problem and then not give you a solution,
Hmm.
is we are going to start having these epithet and archetype episodes where we're really rejecting this concept of the dark divine feminine movement, which we hope that you join us in on so that we can restore the historical and religious context to these gods and goddesses that are bastardized in modern day. The one we want to talk about today is Despoina.
Hmm.
And this is basically the epithet of mistress or like mistress of the household and queen, and
Yes.
one that you can use to refer to as Persephone for Persephone. It's an epithet of her. Um, in our latest blog post on Hecate Propolos, Dr. K so nicely defined what an epithet is. If you're like, what are you talking about?
Hmm.
What is an epithet? They're not just Aphrodite, they're not just Persephone. The ancient peoples very much knew that they had different titles that they had to go to because they're multifaceted. They're not just like Hecate opens up my psychic abilities and we're looking at ghosts in our bedroom. Like, it is
That's wrong.
Hecate Propolos, right? The guide. She guided Persephone. How do we see that in modern day? She can help guide us at a crossroads, or when we have to make a decision, you would want to go to Propolos.
Hmm.
So instead of just seeing them as like these one-dimensional goddesses, and Persephone's just not the queen of the underworld and the goddess of spring. Like, there's so much more in between that. Sorry, I kind of like went off on a tangent, but like, please add.
No, no, I mean,
Please add to
I
it.
won't stop you. You're doing great.
Thanks. I'm like, please add, because I have so many thoughts in my head because I really hate when they're boiled down to just like, Persephone's just the goddess of spring. How we talk about Kore? She got snatched by her uncle.
Like
Okay.
I love it because it shows like the duality of being a woman, and we see that with Aphrodite and everything, with love and war being two sides of women and everything, being able to nurture but also able to rule and everything for Persephone. There's so much duality that we as women can also find in our everyday life or at one point in our life or another. But with Despoina, I think looking at these two female figures in Greek mythology, I think they rightfully, of course, fit, the aspect of being queens. Would they not?
I mean, yeah, I mean,
One's literally the queen of a realm, the other has Cyprus. Like they have their empires.
yes. I mean, I thought that was a tr like, are you trying to trick me? Yeah, they're queens. They are queens in their own right. Like they are. Aphrodite is so badass because she just, in a sense, in some cases, is able to do what she wants to do, aside from her marriage to Hephaestus, right?
Yeah.
But like even Hera, like, we can bring her into the mix. Like everyone's been waiting for us to talk about Hera. It's like she's also Despoina, head of
So
a household.
So is Demeter. She would be mistress, like in the mortal realm, mistress of Eleusis. And mistress can also be of the house. So if you are married, of course, as a queen, Persephone with her husband Hades in the underworld, she would be expected to perform certain duties, as wives did back then. But, also in the broader and larger context of ancient Greece and ancient Greek religion with mystery cults, and we get Eleusis, we have the mistresses. So Persephone and her mother reuniting in the mortal realm. Why was that such a big deal, and why did people love that? And these small little words, just these little words have so much meaning in the ancient age. Words, terminology have so much, they pack such a big punch. They're un pequeño, they slam into the ground. And I think that's what is the coolest thing about it because, yes, you could say Teehee Persephone is, she can wear pastels, but she can also, sit on a throne of skulls. Sure, absolutely. But let's say, Persephone, Despoina, let's do Kore, let's do Praxidiki, let's do Aria, Aphrodite Aria. Let's use these incredibly ancient, moving, meaningful terms and epithets to get their points across because they were created and crafted for a purpose.
I, I am all about, and this is, let me finish my thought because there's so many thoughts. 'Cause yes,
You
like
gotta write that down.
I wish I'm like Judge Judy with like I just want to like slam. What do they call one of those things? I can't
A
even think.
gavel.
A gavel. It's been a long day. I want to slam my gavel and be like, yes, yes, like all the yes. Why are we not restoring their titles instead of making them into something that they're not? Like it's giving we are the daughter of the witches you can't burn, like I said. They have so many amazing ancient titles. Like Athena has so many titles. She's not just like a patron of Athens, like we've talked about. Zeus has so many titles, right? One I personally go to for justice. Like I love that one, but it's like you have to know about these things and you can go and leave an offering to these specific epithets. So here at Sticks and Bones, we are in the business of restoring the epithets, but also seeing them through an archetypal lens, right? Because epithets in modern day can kind of be archetypes. Like,
Yeah, I would
Despoina
say yeah.
is for people that are the mistress of their household, or maybe you are living alone and you are in charge of your household, right? It's not even for people that are married these days. It's like maybe you are a single mom and you're running a household. You are the mistress of the house. You are responsible to take care of things. Maybe you host people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you can even use that archetype at work. I don't know. Like maybe you're a receptionist for a really big time CEO. You are the mistress of this company. Like it is your job to run things. That is what you do.
100%. And I love, especially with Despoina meaning the lady, the mistress, it really harks back to even older ties of the mistress of animals and really showcases the power that these feminine figures would have had over the natural and over the fantastical world. And I think often it gets separated into like mortals and gods. But then there's also the other realm of like the fantastical beasts that are also involved, the different heavens, the realm of the Sphinx, the Chimera, all of that kind of stuff for ancient Greece, the sirens, even. These gods are in the middle of mortals and fantastical, or natural and fantastical, and they have this ability to be the conqueror and have dominion over both.
I mean, it's just so beautiful. And then another issue I also have with the Dark Divine Feminine movement is that the aesthetic behind it is not even using like iconography from the ancient world. Like it seems to be a conglomeration of just Pinterest photos of like a purple sky with a moon to represent, and we all know where I'm going with this, Hecate. And it's like,
Oh, I thought
how
you were
do we
going to
look at
say
the
Sailor Moon.
Triformis? What?
You're going to say Sailor Moon.
But see what I'm saying? It's like yes, we can modernize things, but why are we not using like the beautiful art and iconography of these goddesses that the ancient peoples revered, have beautiful statues of? I mean, On our Persephone candle in the store, we have Bernini and we have the abduction of Persephone happening. Like it is a close up on Hades grabbing her. You can see the imprint in the skin. It's beautiful. And like it's to move you and to really give you the feeling of her abduction. It's not just like, here's a flower. Yeah, we all know she's associated with flowers, but like, can we take that a step further? And how
Hmm.
are we moving people with art, right? Like here at Six of Modes, we want to think of like the bigger meaning behind things. That's how the ancient peoples view them.
How can we have art open up a conversation? Because myths do the same thing, but that is more, capturing oral tradition, that is capturing the literary tradition. Art opens it up in a visual narrative tradition. So, how are we capturing emotions, drama, humanity, mythology, religion all into one? And I mean, to think that Bernini did that piece at 23, I would retire on a high note.
I mean, it's just gorgeous. And going back to like your point, it's like our all the artwork on our candles is meant to move you. It's meant to like it stands for something, it means something. It's not just because like, oh, we saw this like I don't know, ancient art of Demeter and we slapped it on there and said, here you go. No, it means something. So we have like an epithet archetype box for Despoina in the store, and it actually is an image of Demeter, and it's beautiful. Like the contrast of it. Our candles are clean, which is fine, but like the focal point of the candle is supposed to be the ancient art because the iconography means everything when we're talking about ancient Greek religion, when we're talking about the Greek gods. The ancient peoples knew that. Like that's why they created this art was because they revered their gods and their religion and their mythology so much that they were like they devoted their life to creating these pieces. You
Yeah.
know, hours of time spent into sculpting and creating. So I just like to push the balance a little bit and like instead of what everyone else is doing online for clicks and grabs and whatever, there are people like us that actually care about what's on the label.
Hmm.
And it might be minuscule to you, but it's not to us. We spend hours sourcing images. So we do have the Despoina box for those of you that want to really embody the archetype of the mistress, the queen, and you would get either anything Aphrodite or Persephone. You get our Despoina candle. It comes with the veiled maiden. It comes with an oil, an altar spray, and incense. So you can kind of create your own little altar for yourself to honor yourself as Despoina, or you can use it to petition the epithet of Despoina to honor either Aphrodite or Persephone as Despoina, or together if you wanted to.
Absolutely.
Or
No,
Hera. Maybe you're a Hera person and you're like, I want this candle to honor this aspect of Hera. You know, words have meaning. So we just like to point that out.
no, perfect. I would even throw Demeter in there.
You can, she's on the candle.
She is.
You know, like all these goddesses are like revered together, so it's okay. And most importantly, you know, and maybe you don't use it for worship for the gods or goddesses or because you're an enthusiast. Maybe you do for yourself. Like I use the
Oh, they're for the girls. They
I
are
have the
for the
Aria
girls.
candle and I use it for when I need to make decisions or like when I'm going through a hard time and I have to go to war, quote unquote war. You know, when you have to go to war in like in your own personal life because you're going through things, right? You need the
Hmm.
strength of the warrior.
Yes.
I burn it next to my Athena statue. It's like, you know, we can do those things. You can see yourself in that. So it's like, what epithet do you resonate with? We have a bunch. We have the Enchantress, we have the Sorceress, we have Corey the Maiden. Um, I'm missing
Yes.
50 million. We have the Goddess, which is all of them. So if you're like, I don't know, I just want to represent everything. Listen, I've been there.
Gotcha. We have Despoina. We have
Propolos, which is for
Propolos,
guidance from Hecate.
Aria.
Arya can either be Athena or Aphrodite. Sometimes Artemis. And you know, like me and Dr. K, like we'll just intuitively pick the stuff that goes in your box. So if you buy Despoina, we will just like ship off what we think. Or if you really feel some type of way about it, you can email us and be like, hey, can you make it Aphrodite focus? Maybe you don't want to take it by chance, but anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. Like we can look at this through a much cooler and different lens versus like, I don't know, don't you like want to be different? Don't we want to be different?
I don't know. Why aren't the Goyles talking about how they were worshipped at the same temple? Why are we
I
trying
mean,
to
like,
why are we trying to separate women rather than be girls, girls and help each other out? I don't know. I'd much rather learn about a temple where they were revered together and talk about that. I have actually downloaded the archaeological reports on it.
I mean, I love it. I love when we talked about Hecate Probolos, like our last podcast episode, and
Hmm.
talking about how she literally is a guide to Persephone. These are the coolest things to talk about. We know Persephone is the goddess of spring. We all know she's the queen of the underworld. But did you know about Praxidiki or Despoina?
100%.
And there's so much more. Like we know
Oh my
Kore.
God.
It's like, so a lot of these archetype episodes or some of our myth episodes we will drop nuggets of information on epithets and like we're about that life over here. That's what I want to do.
100%. Anything else you want to add before we call it for today?
No, I think that was it. I mean, let me see my notes here. Oh, I just before we go for today, I want to flip, I think I said this already, but I'll say it again. I want to flip the script back on you all who listen to us. Let us know, how do you resonate with maybe the misinformation about Aphrodite and Persephone and how they're being portrayed today? Maybe you've been portrayed in a way that is not accurate. It's just based off of people saying things about you that aren't true, or um, people just hating because you're killing it. Honestly, if you have no haters, you're not doing it right. That's what I always say.
And to add, do you resonate with Despoina or perhaps another epithet or archetype that we've covered
Do
here?
you know do you know any did you know Despoina? What do you
Have you
know?
have you heard the good news?
Have you heard the good news from the front line? So we're doing our best to restore some of the titles back to these goddesses that, have got sucked into the "we are the daughters of the witches you can't burn." We could do better.
100%. But with that being said, don't forget to join us over on the Mystery Cult for extra members content for a whole month dedicated to the goddess and queen of Cyprus herself, Aphrodite. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.